Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Amplify Your Business. Today, we're going to be talking to Ameen Fadel. He's the founder and president of Cedar Valley Selections, a company that creates some incredibly tasty pita chips as well as salad dressings. And so, welcome to the show, Ameen.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me, and I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. So, tell me a little bit about Cedar Valley Selections. What is it that you guys do over there?
So we have a line of all natural salad dressings as well as pita chips. And so we're based here in Windsor, Ontario. We produce all of our products for retailers across Canada, such as Sobeys, Whole Foods, Longo's, and some others. And really, we try and manufacture clean alternative products that and bring a better for you product to that everyday consumer, where they may not have those quite healthy options currently.
Yeah, well, and you sent out a few samples to me, and I've enjoyed some of the chips. This one here is an unopened bag, so everybody can see what it looks like. Yeah, great packaging. The other one that I tried, which had a little bit of a spice, I think you called it the original. I think
classic spice.
Yeah, such incredible flavor to it. It was really good. And what I loved about the chip versus other pita chip competitors that I've had in the past is that yours are really thin, and so they really are easy to eat, and they don't kind of hurt your bite when you have to bite through a really thick piece of hard pita. They're really tender and great. Actually, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. And that's actually the number one comment we get. Whereas a competitor, there's really one major competitor in the pita chip game, and they have a very thick and crunchy kind of pita that people describe like it's going to break their teeth almost. It's just a little too hard.
Yeah.
We bring a more traditional style pita chip where it's nice and thin and flaky. It's hard enough to dip, but easy enough to crumble into your salad or just eat as a regular chip all day long. And they're super light and flaky.
And I also tried your fattoush salad dressing on a salad, and I don't think I made it quite correct. You were telling me earlier that the pita chips need to be part of the salad.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, fattoush, right?
Yes, sir. That's okay. You don't have. I mean, you don't have to. It's kind of fattoush is actually. It's called. I forget what it's called like originally, but what it means basically, it's just old vegetables. And so really it's just a mixture of, whatever is left over in your pantry. And so traditionally, a fattoush salad is just whatever you had on hand. So you don't really have to throw the pita chips in there, but that is kind of what makes it, fattoush. So next time, just, you can get that little added crunch from those pita chips.
Yeah, definitely. Now the salad dressing on its own without the pita chips though had a really great flavor profile to it. And so are all of the recipes then all, family recipes, or are these ones that you're developing from scratch?
Yeah. So originally, I started the company, but my mom is also my partner, and she, is the one that comes up with all the recipes, and it's really kind of her behind the scenes developing everything. And so the fattoush dressing was really the only salad dressing that we had as like an actual family recipe. Like other than that, we have a line of 7 dressings now, and that was really the only one that we were making like on a consistent basis. That was like, she learned from her mom, and her mom taught her how to cook pretty much everything. And her dad owned like several restaurants growing up as well. And so that was really the only family recipe. Everything else is kind of just infused with, our culture, and bringing those flavor notes and those ingredients from our heritage. Kind of putting them into a product that you might be a little bit more familiar with, while being inspired from other cultures from around the world.
Yeah.
And then the pita chips, that's something that we made at home as well, like the classic spice. We call it. No one really knows what classic spice means. We had random spices that we were using at home, and we didn't know what to call it. And we're like, no, we'll call it classic spice. That's kind of just how my mom was making them at the time, and yeah, they have a little bit of a kick to them, but yeah, it's kind of, those were really the only 2 family recipes, I'd say. Other than that, it's kind of just everything being infused with our culture and our way of cooking.
Yeah. Well, that classic spice, like you said, it has a little bit of a kick, but it's not too strong. So it's not going to be something that's going to offend people who don't like spicy food, but it's enough there for fans like myself who enjoyed a little bit of spice to it, right? It definitely does give some nice flavor to it.
Yeah. And we are coming out with an actual spicier flavor a little down the line. So we're,
excellent.
Trying to accommodate as many people as possible. So people like yourself, you'll enjoy that, I think.
Yeah. So let's go back to the early days, because this business was something that you started as a high school student, correct?
Yeah, correct. So I started it in grade 10. I was sitting at my desk one day just in class in high school, and there was an announcement for $3,000, or for 30 students to each receive $3,000. And I always knew, growing up, that I wanted to, be a big time CEO or start my own company or just be high up in business. And so I went home that day, threw around some ideas with my mom, and none of them were very good at all. And so I went to speak to my guidance counselor the next day, and I grew up playing hockey with her son. So she recommended that, I bottle my mom's salad dressing recipe and started selling that. And I kind of laughed at the idea. And from there, we're just like, you know what, we'll try it out and see what happens. Worst that comes to worst, we just don't do it, right?
Yeah.
And so it took her 6 months to actually come up with a measured recipe for the salad dressing. And then, because she just throws things together, kind of guesses here and there. And so once we kind of finally came up with that recipe, we started selling to family and friends. And about 2 years later, when I initially started it in 2015, we actually went to our first farmers market locally here in Windsor, and we sold about 81 bottles the very first day. And from there, we kind of thought, okay, maybe we have something here, and it started to snowball from there.
Yeah, that's a pretty incredible success story that gets so many sales right off the hop. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. We weren't, we were rolling the labels on the bottles at home. We were making them in my kitchen at that time.
Yeah.
And then we were rolling the labels on the bottles. We had a heat sealer was our hair dryer. We were sealing the bottles with that. I think that's how everyone starts off. And CPG. And then we sold 81 bottles. I think we only made like 90 to 100. And we're like, no way, we're gonna sell all that. And so we were pretty blown away by that. And then from there, we participated into more farmers markets, and I really started selling, and people were really excited about the product. So we knew we were onto something maybe.
Yeah, that's a really great story. And so since that time, now you are distributed, like you said, across a bunch of different grocery chains, retailers, and then you have an online store on your website, and you also do a fair bit in Amazon as well, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So since then, over the course of, I'd say from 2015 to 2019, we didn't really grow that much. We're still trying to figure out a lot of the, industry. I was just a high school student still too, and I was I had no money to put into the business. I was at Wendy's at the time when I started, I think. I got that $3,000, and I got a few grants here and there. My dad helped me out a little bit as well too. And so, I was just taking it slow. I didn't want to, raise $1 million and do all this stuff. And I had no clue what I was doing. So really just learning about the process and how it all worked. And then I'd say from 2020, we really started to gain a lot of traction. And so as of today, we're in about, I believe 800 stores across Canada. Between the two product lines. So it's grown quite a bit over the past 2 years.
Yeah, and so on Amazon, are you selling just Amazon.ca or also .com? Are you into the US?
Right now it's just Amazon.ca. Amazon.com is getting set up next month, so that's going to be our entry into the States, which we're super excited about. Currently just retailed in Canada.
Okay, and the number one pita chip on Amazon, though, correct?
Yeah, we're the number one pita chip on Amazon, and we just got started a couple months ago on Amazon as well, and so we're putting a lot behind it and really gaining some really cool traction there. So going up in that ranking for sure, in the grocery category in general. So we're excited to get listed on .com as well, and open up to our US fan base as well, because a lot of people have been asking us to finally come to the States. So Amazon will be really easy and exciting to get onto.
Yeah. And so the success that you're finding on Amazon, is there any tips, tricks, lessons that you've learned along the way? It's only been a short period of time though, I guess, but it's something that you can share with our audiences, because I'd imagine there's other people in our audience who have been thinking about Amazon, but just haven't jumped in there yet. Yeah.
Amazon is tricky. I'm not going to lie. Like I'm not, I set it up myself at the beginning. And we were doing okay. I did the advertisements myself, and I was, at a very bad ROI. So I actually hired someone right off the bat to, come and help me with the setup. There is a lot of, tips and tricks and detail behind Amazon, and they're continually changing as well and updating their processes and their listings, and how their AI works. So I actually did reach out to someone to get us, all set up and start that advertising for us, just so that, I'm making the most of my money because I didn't want to waste anything. And
Yep.
so ever since they actually came on board, we've picked up quite a bit. We're seeing, daily sales, where before that we were probably seeing, one every couple of days. So now we're seeing like a heavy jump in sales,
Awesome.
which has been awesome. But yeah, I'd say Amazon is very tricky unless you put the time and effort in to learn all the tips and tricks. I'd say it's pretty difficult to find all that stuff, and they don't make it too easy either. And so they also give you like one chance. They ding you quite a bit if you mess up there. So I'd say just do your research, make sure you know what you're doing, and take those YouTube courses. There's a lot on YouTube that you can learn as well. Or worst case, just find someone to help you out. There's people that are out there that do that for a living at a reasonable price. So I think that'd be a good route too.
Yeah, and speaking of the different channels, so you have the retailers, you have Amazon, you have your online via your website. Do you do anything still direct, like farmers markets, that kind of thing, or you're kind of beyond that now?
Yeah, so farmers markets we don't really do anymore. I mean, that when we started it was like the most fun thing ever, just connecting with consumers, as much as possible. Unfortunately, especially with COVID, that kind of put a sting on a lot of things. We used to do consumer trade shows where we would go and set up in like this big hall, and consumers would come and look for products to buy. And so we'd get like, between 10 and 20,000 people at those events usually. So they're really good setup events, but, with COVID and everything, those kind of died down and they're just starting to come back. So that's something that we want to start doing again, just to really build that connection with consumers. But currently we haven't been able to do much of that. Same with demos in store. Like we haven't done a lot of demoing, but that's something we want to do and bring back as well.
Okay. And so which channels right now are the most important channels, and what's the plan in the future in terms of where you're going to apply your focus?
Yeah. So right now retail is kind of my biggest channel. And so really, there's a saying, like everyone says it's easy to get on shelf, it's hard to stay on shelf.
Mhm.
And so once you get, in the store and you sell those retailers on our products, the real work begins there, and you really have to sell it to consumers. Every year you're only guaranteed a year on the shelf. And so, everyone's always pitching these retailers, and there's always new products coming left and right. And you really have to, gain traction in every store that you're in, and make sure that you're really, bringing sales to the category. And so that's my biggest key focus over the next couple of years is really supporting the retailers who took a chance on us and brought our products in. We have really good retention when a consumer buys our products. They usually come back for more. Now it's really just how do we get that initial sale, and how do we get consumers to try out a premium product that they're not sure if they want to spend $8 for a bottle of salad dressing or $5 to $6 for a bag of chips, and not like the product. So that's really been our key focus, is how do we really drive that trial? How do we drive that brand awareness? How do we keep people coming back for more, and making sure that retailers are happy and consumers are happy overall.
Excellent. And so what does that look like then in terms of the support that you want to give the retailers right now? So can you just walk us through what you mean by that, I guess?
Yeah. And so, when you get listed at a retailer, typically you're only in one spot of the store. You're on a specific portion of the shelf. And so, my goal is to get off shelf as much as possible. So, providing, sitting down with your buyer at each retailer and putting together a really good developed plan to say, we're going to do these promotions over the set course of the year, maybe a flyer here, maybe an off-shelf display here, a cross promotion with another brand, in this particular month. So really building that strong strategic plan with the retailer and understanding what their values are and what their goals are is really key to, making sure that everyone's happy and everyone's successful. And then really, as things kind of open up again a little bit more, we're super excited to, get demos back in play and get a team out there to store level to actually, sample again with consumers. And we have some really small sample packs that are on the way as well that are, we'll hand out wherever we can. They're pre-packs. So just 3 pita chips and, a small thing of salad dressing, but we're going to hand that out to as many people as possible to really just, provide them with a taste of the product for free. And hopefully that'll trigger them to drive to a retail store and go pick one up on their next visit as well. Yeah. And we're also exploring some coupons too, to do a cool coupon program to support those retailers, whether that's with direct mail coupons, at store level, or even if we're standing outside of a store handing out those sample bags with the coupon so they can redeem it right there and then. and making sure that people know that, we are at the store level, we're there, we're, in a particular spot, and, they can keep coming back for more.
So tell me, how does somebody who, starts a business at 16, and it's only been a few years, right? So it's not like you're some sort of seasoned veteran, but you definitely sound like you're a seasoned veteran. How does one acquire the knowledge in all of this that you have right now that you're sharing with us?
Yeah, I'm faking it till I make it. So I'm not, not seeing, yeah, honestly, it's just a lot. Like for me, one of the key things that I tell people is really ask questions. Like I'm not afraid to, go up to a random person, just start talking and, engaging in conversation and asking questions. And, I'm only 22 years old. When I started, I was 16, and, I knew nothing about the industry. I didn't even graduate high school. And so I wasn't afraid to reach out to people who have been in the industry, who have, who were in the industry and, started their own companies or worked for, distributors or sales brokers or at these retailers, and just ask them like, hey, can you help me with this? Can I get some advice? What did you do in this situation? As well as reaching out to, potential mentors as well. Because, there were a lot of people who were in my position who didn't have that help when they first started, and they'd love to give back and want to mentor people, and just make it a little easier for them. And I was lucky enough to have many mentors over my short time in business, and that's really helped me propel and avoid some mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes, but I've been able to avoid some or get ahead a little quicker, just kind of leaning off of their experiences and their mistakes and their advice. As well, you never know what comes from building a network or a connection. Even now, I can just post something on LinkedIn and reach out to my network, and I'll get help and advice through there, and meet more people and meet those key people that need to get ahead. And so really, I'd say that's kind of the biggest thing is I asked as many questions as possible. I wasn't afraid of hearing no, and I just made a lot of mistakes along the way and kind of learn from those as well. And I try not to rush things, which I thought was the right move for me as well.
Yeah. No, it sounds like you got a lot of the stuff figured out. So good on you for doing that. This is we're over 100 episodes now of
Awesome.
Amplify Your Business. Yeah. And one of the common threads across many of them is this, what you touched on there in terms of don't be afraid to ask questions of those who, have been on the path before you, and they'll try to learn from them. And that's really what we try to do with this show, is to talk about some of those lessons that entrepreneurs have learned that other entrepreneurs who can be watching this can maybe take away and maybe save them from making a similar mistake. So, so speaking of mistakes, you alluded to the fact that you've made a few along the way. We all do as entrepreneurs. So are you comfortable sharing any mistakes that you've made where it's like, okay, there's a lesson in here that I had to learn and it cost me a little bit of headache or money or whatever? Is there anything you can share with us?
Yeah, it's too many to choose from. I don't, some mistakes we've made. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of product that went down the drain from just silly mistakes. That's something that was we oversaw, and actually one thing too, I bought a lot of boxes in my day. Boxes are like the death of me. Every time I would go through a package, a minor package change, I'd buy just a lot of it because I always wanted to get that price quantity break.
Yeah.
And I've ended up throwing out a lot of packaging and boxes and stuff just because we there's a mistake on it, or we didn't need it all, or we just changed something else that we need to order more. So that was kind of a few mistakes that I made in the past. Another thing early on was I wasn't very numbers conscious. I was young. I was just like, okay, it's all going to work out. I didn't have my numbers in order. I didn't have my accounting in order, and that was like a really big headache that took me a long time to figure out. And once it's messed up from the beginning, it's just like a whole process to clean all that up. And that took a long time, and we were losing money for a long time and making a lot of mistakes. And that there is like just key to any business, knowing your numbers and knowing what your profitability is by product and what's making the most money, what areas of the business are driving the growth, and really understanding just every aspect of your business has been really crucial to the past couple of years of growth. And I'd say even now, like, I still don't have all the answers, But that's something that I'm working on, and trying to every day continually improve on and understand those key metrics. But yeah, I've wasted a lot of money just kind of hoping things would work out, and the numbers would all sort themselves out eventually.
Yeah, and that's common. That's
Yeah.
how it goes for many entrepreneurs, right? Because oftentimes, the idea is great, and you're just in action mode, and it's the joy and the thrill of that. It's
Yeah.
some of the other stuff that's maybe not quite as exciting that starts to slip, and then all of a sudden, yeah, you look in the review and it's like, oh boy, I really made some mistakes there. I got to get that back on track. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, a question for you on the future. So, what is going to be key in your mind for your future success over, say, the next 5 years? What's the biggest things that you need to overcome or do in order to achieve the goals that you have in front of you?
Yeah. I'd say really so we're going through a brand refresh right now as well, which I'm really excited about, and it's going to bring just a lot of consistency across the brand. I spent probably the past 6 months getting everything in order between the packaging, getting the website all up, and we're doing a whole brand refresh on the website as well. Getting Amazon set up, just getting a lot of things in place to allow us to scale at a aggressive rate. And so I'm really excited for everything that's going to come a little later this summer. And so from there, really once everything's in place and there, I'm really going to focus on marketing and just building a true connection with the consumer. And really trying to get to as many consumers as possible to really grow our sales. And I can get into stores left and right, but if each store is only selling a couple bags a month, then it's really, what's the point, right? So my goals are really to focus on improving the sales per retailer, and that velocity per retailer, to make sure that we're selling a lot of units in every store in every region of the country, and really become a brand that's making a difference on the retailer shelves, and building that brand loyalty across all of our products with all of our consumers. So that's kind of my key goals over the next, I guess, 5 years, is really just driving that velocity and making sure that we're turning a lot of product at all these retailers and really supporting them. And yeah, and just figuring out right now, I guess my biggest challenge is figuring out that strategic marketing plan and what needs to be put in place to reach that goal. So how I'm looking at it is, setting a goal of this many, this top line revenue at each of these retailers, and kind of working backwards, or what are the activities we need to put in place to reach those goals, and what's the roadmap look like.
Yeah, that's exactly where you need to start, right? Because you got to work everything backwards from the goal through to the actions that you need to do today and tomorrow and so on. Yeah, you got the right ideas there. Yeah, it's you've done so many exciting things, and it sounds like a lot of things right as well. So I know you mentioned, oh man, the list of mistakes is really large, but you have a young company that's growing obviously really quickly here, and you found a lot of success, and so you're doing a lot of things right in order to achieve that. And I think the story is fantastic too, and I love the focus that you have on telling that story. I think that connects with consumers really well, and I know you said that that's one of the things that you want to do, is really focus on connection. Now, one of the things that our audience is going to be mostly skewed a little older than what you are, and so a lot of them will be looking at you going, okay, well, this guy's got an advantage because he's young and he grew up in an age of social media and probably knows how to do all that really well. What role does social media have in that connection with the consumer? Are you leveraging it really well? What are your thoughts on social media and its role in your business?
I don't know if I have an advantage there, because social media is tough. Social media is very expensive, and if it's not done right, you can waste a lot of money on it. And for me specifically, I used to think social media was end all be all kind of thing, and that's going to make our business successful. But over the past little while, I've kind of come to the realization that I don't think social media is that impactful for a CPG brand specifically. I think, because I think it's something that you should definitely have, and we provide free recipes on our social media nonstop, just to kind of give a free value add to our consumers. But from there, I think really really building connection through other ways is like through email and through just little things like, you know, on an online order, writing a handwritten card type thing. Just kind of, you know, going out and actually talking to your consumers, going to a store and doing a demo yourself and really building that connection there. And you know, they can see the face of the company and actually have that, you know, input, you know, give their feedback right on the spot. I think, you know, I don't know, for me, I just think social media is a little overrated unless you're willing to spend a lot of money behind it. And even then you can waste a lot too. So
Yeah.
that's a controversial, I think.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. We're going to be getting all sorts of comments on this because it'll be like, you know, different opinions for sure. I think one of the things that a lot of businesses are really challenged with in social media is monetizing it, monetizing the effort that's done there. Right. And so there's a lot of businesses just like yours, where they've worked really hard for a number of years and trying to cultivate a strong, loyal following, but just don't seem to be able to get it to translate into dollars, into revenue. Exactly. And yeah, so there's some strategies that one can deploy that will help do that. But and so I love what you're saying. That, you know, you're approaching things from an old school marketing and sales kind of approach, which is a proven approach, right? That is really truly what works really well, and it's effective, and it's kind of immediate when you can you know, basically boots on the ground out there, actually talking to people and engaging and listening and so on to them. That's a much more effective. The only problem with that is it's sometimes hard to scale it, and so the promise of social media is the scalability, the reach, and so on, right?
Yeah. So I think exactly what you said, like it's proven, and it's just social media, I think almost sometimes, you know, it's too much, and people are just like, now every time you go through Instagram, every fourth post is an ad. There's more ads and ads and ads, right? And I think, you know, for a D2C business, like if my business was solely D2C, I'd be on social media nonstop, advertising there and really trying to drive that conversion. But just for my company specifically and my product specifically, I think, you know, I really want to drive retail, and I think, you know, at retail, when people are there and they can have the physical power to purchase on the spot, I think that's just the best investment for me now. And you know, I spent a lot of money on photographers and videographers on social media in the past, and it didn't provide me with the revenue that I was looking for. And you know, that could just be on me doing it wrong too. But I think there's just, you know, a lot of money that goes to waste unless you're doing it, you know, down to the T and doing it in question.
Yeah, exactly. And I think just in general in marketing, that's one of the things that you know, a common and a fair criticism, I think, of marketing is that if there's a lot of money that can get thrown at it, and it can become a bit of a black hole unless it's done strategically, and, you know, there's purpose and intention and everything, and it's tied together so that it actually is working to really drive things forward. And what you were talking about before, the numbers in your business, you have to understand those and pay attention to that. It's the same thing with the numbers in terms of the marketing, and the really looking at and analyzing the data and doing testing and seeing how one thing can change the numbers either positively or negatively, and trying to figure out what things are the best for the particular market or target audience that you're focused on trying to reach. Yeah. So but I think you're right in the sense that because your focus is much more on the retailer side of things, the social media engagement is not nearly as necessary for you, because you can build those relationships with the retailers and support them. One thing that I think that some of the people who are listening who maybe are wanting to, and they haven't gotten into the retailers yet, but they're doing direct to consumer, they're doing the farmers markets and so on, and they have dreams of being in the Sobeys and Loblaws and so on. One thing that they probably are wondering about right now is how much does it matter that you have a broad, really, you know, larger brand online, so a good social media presence, a good website presence, a good you know, overall market awareness? How much of that is a requirement when you go into some of these retailers? Like how much do you need before they're going to pay attention to you or see that you're a legitimate brand, I guess would be maybe one of the concerns that some companies might have.
Yeah, and it's a good question. So it depends on the retailer as well. So Sobeys has been known, you know, to have been very very small business, local friendly. And so they have an amazing program. They work with, thousands of small businesses and local businesses across Canada, in different regions of the country. And so, they were pretty key for us, initially, to bring and they brought our products in early on. And I think 2018, they brought our products on. Started with one store, went to 2, went to 10, and then 80, and then now we're at 350. So, Sobeys was amazing to work with from the get-go. But yeah, usually the larger retailers, I do like to see, I don't think they, at least from, what I've seen and what I've, discussed with them, they don't really care about the online stuff much at all. They really want to see that you're in stores, like the smaller, if you have a health and wellness product, they want to see you in the, those small natural or organic stores like Organic Garage and the Big Carrot and Sweet Potato, all in the Toronto area. They want to see you in retailers like that before you approach them, prove that that the product sells and that the that consumers are coming back for more, and that there's some validity behind it. Then you take that data to them and show them, okay, we're turning this many bags per week per store. We're outperforming the category growth by this many percent. And they kind of want to see that data and show that it's going to be a successful product within their stores. And yeah, that's kind of the type of stuff that they like to see before bringing a product on.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of the information that you have today, the lessons you've learned, some of those mistakes, and getting into the controversial discussion around social media. Is it worth it or not? So yeah, I really appreciate that. That was really insightful. I think you guys have a really great product. It's very different, like I said, compared to your competitor, something that I enjoy much more. And so you definitely have won over a fan here in me for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, definitely fun to be on, and I appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah. So for other people who want to try some of this great product, where can they find you then? You already talked about some of the stores. Is the website the best way to drive people to, or Amazon? Yeah. What do you want us to go?
Yeah. So in retail, you can find us at Sobeys, Longo's, Whole Foods Market. You can also go to our website and find all of our retailers there. There's a little map that you can search at cedarvalleyselections.ca. So you can find the closest stores to you. As well, you can find us on amazon.ca, well.ca, spud.ca, vegansupply.ca, and those are all the online options, as well as Voila and longos.ca. Yeah, so quite a few options online to order from. And you can order from our website as well, cedarvalleyselections.ca. And those are pretty much all the options for you guys.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, Ameen. I really appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Okay, that's a wrap, everybody. So if you like this episode and want to learn more about entrepreneurship and what other entrepreneurs are doing out there, head over to amplifyyourbusiness.ca. That's where you'll find the archive as well as all of our future episodes. And if you happen to be a business or an entrepreneur who has a great story that you want to share as well, there's a form on there to apply to be on the show, so you can be featured as a future guest as well. Until next time, everybody, stay safe.